Hello, I am tatocat and welcome to my channel. Today we're playing Lucid9, the Undo After Story. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, let's stick with that, Undo After Story. And why is that glowing? That looks just creepy there. Sorry, distracted by that. Previously we got through Akira's route, I guess, where she goes to school and gets a message from Kami and finds out Yama is getting out, and at first she's super happy about it, but then something else is going on and now she's freaking out and passes out. Now we're here where I assume is Misaki. I could be wrong about the name, but her route. I guess we're going to negotiate some business. And yeah, that's where we left off. Let's continue. Sitting at the table I reserve is a young man with blonde hair. I worry for a moment that the staff brought her to the wrong table, wasting the trouble of the bug I prepared beneath it, but it's more likely she just sent an assistant instead. Unfortunately, but given her reclusiveness, a public meeting might have been too much to hope for. As I near the table, the young man turns my way, and I meet the eyes of just about the last Limniscape member I expected to see here. Oh my goodness! Look who it is! Yahiko! One of Yama's besties. Nobody believed him when he said his parents were rich. Yahiko brims with his standard enthusiasm, beckons to the open seat across from him. You're just in time for the greatest business meeting ever. I can only muster a confused smile in return. It's nice to see him, but it completely throws off my expectations for this meeting. He's really fallen off the radar since Cobra Becker ended, and I had thought he was out of favor with the executives. And to be honest, Yahiko isn't the sort of person I would pick for business negotiations. Oh, Misaki, I knew I wouldn't mistake your face. Please, it hasn't been that long, though I suppose I did cut my hair. Hair length doesn't matter. A girl will always look beautiful in my eyes. I see he hasn't changed a bit, for better or worse. So, how have you been? I've been great. What a surprise too. What are you doing? Yahiko offered after completing his greeting, starts waving at nobody in particular. Saying hello to your paparazzi. You think they'll think this is a date? That would seem more likely than a business meeting. Well, I could certainly make time for both. I'm pretty booked. Let's keep to business, okay? Sure. He adopts a serious expression and proceeds to mostly ruin the effect by taking a large swig of lemonade. So, something came up and Miss Inori entrusted you to represent her, I assume? Yep, she gave me a few tips and even complimented my eyes. That doesn't sound like what I've heard of her at all. She did? Yeah, she said, what was it? My particular brand of wide-eyed innocence could come in handy. That's closer to what I had expected. Oh, and she maybe memorized a list of important things to say. Oh, Yahiko, I missed you too. But don't worry, this isn't one of them. Interesting. So she's scripted up some straight strategies, and Yahiko's going out of his way to warn me. Sounds like I should be on my guard. Understandable. And I take it you found the place easily enough. Yeah, she said I should get here early because there might be bugs under the table. Bugs are nasty. Oh, Yahiko, you're supposed to be at least tech savvy, smarter than that. All I found was this, thing, but I smashed it just in case. Oh. So he did find the bug and destroyed it. But for a really stupid reason. I can't help but wince at the sight of the recording device crushed remains. I'm forced to remind myself that Yahiko is actually competent, even if it sometimes seems accidental. Can't I take anything he says at face value, or has he spent these last few years crafting a perfect mask? That's right, nobody really knew if Yahiko's airheadedness was legit or if there was something else behind it, because sometimes he could get real smart. He wouldn't be the only one. Would you like, I'm just going to use my normal voice. Would you like anything to drink, Miss Kazuhaya? The waitress materializes beside me, startling me out of my thoughts. I hastily point to a fruit juice cocktail, special on the menu. Just this will be fine, thanks. Perfect! As she sweeps away, Yahiko slurps loudly on his own drink. I thought about that one, but it had too many things in it. Lemonade is pure and yellow, so it matches my style. Like pee? The way you describe it, that's what it sounds like. Thanks, man. Lemonade won't be the same to me again. I stifle a chuckle. That taking fashion sense to an entirely new level. You're about the least sour person I know, though. Lemonade can be sweet. So, it's a balance. So it balances. Ignoring his inconsistent logic, I decide to get to the point of this meeting. I trust your employers briefed you on the subject of this meeting before sending you out as a replacement. Even if it's a Hiko, I have to think of him first as Limnisgate representative. And that means it's best to let him say what he thinks this is all about. The email exchange was pretty much a pile of professional jargon, and if that mayor's daughter had to relay it to him, it might provide some insight. You want us to give you more money so that you can host a bigger party? He's awfully blunt, but I guess it's my job to put it more tactfully. We think it would be mutually beneficial for Limnisgate Limmy Tech to become a primary sponsor of our annual gala rather than just a secondary sponsor. Above all else, I want a closer partnership. Our city is divided when it most needs to be united, and we should work together to bridge that gap. There's no obvious angle of attack here, so it's worth trying a few things. Trying it to the larger picture, for one. And if you agree, I'd be happy to meet up again to work out any remaining details. I might even let you call it a date. Twist hair curls. Bat's eyelashes. It's one way to get things to work, but I don't know if he's in charge of that. I also think he's probably smarter than he looks and may see right through your thoughts, Misaki. For a moment, Hiko's deep blue eyes seem to reflect an ocean of inner turmoil. As lovely as that sounds, I think my bosses might insist on ironing out the details themselves. And if we're sticking to business, it's probably better to discuss that separately anyway. Personally, I'm in favor of a bigger party. Parties are fun. And that gala? Double the fun. Or at least it was last year. Oh, so you were there? There's no way the great Yahiko Ikari would miss the biggest event in Isamu. Not in a million years. And also because of my parents. Anyway, I'd be happy to give some suggestions. But all this talk about partnership feels hollow if it has to be tied to more money, don't you think? I mean, we're already sponsors. why isn't that enough? He might be better at this than I realized. Standard negotiation then. We'll start with the high road. Increasing your commitment as a primary sponsor would only be fitting given your status as the leading tech company of Isamu. In this time, since Limitscape became a secondary sponsor, several other tech companies have made comparable contributions. If your competitors were featured equally in event marketing and promotional materials, it could easily be interpreted as a threat to Limitscape's dominance, almost a domination. It could also be taken as a sign that Limitscape cares less about the citizens of Isamu than other companies, which is, I believe, a perception you've recently been looking to change. He ponders this for a moment, expressionless. It's not a great upsell, and we both know it. But it is a decent argument. They were one of the first companies to sponsor the annual Way Forward Gala. Then we signed equal sponsorship deals with a bunch of their smaller rivals. I could take some credit there. It means they'll look like one among the many instead of the industry leaders they are. Then again, this is Limitscape. Everyone knows who they are, so they probably don't care too much. Limitscape is already the technological leader of Isamu, thanks to our commitment to quality. We don't need to buy reputation. The implicit insult hangs ominously over the table. Well then, we'll just have to do this the hard way. I glance to confirm that our table is still out of earshot and take the plunge. Interesting that you mention your reputation. It's true that your products and manufacturing processes are highly regarded. So it was surprising to learn that your factory workers are currently being exposed to a number of hazardous chemicals. Seriously? Oh yeah, Hiko. You were doing so good. Finally, a helpful reaction. Now, if we had a close enough business partnership, we could work together to resolve this matter without any fuss. Otherwise, we'd be obligated to make the public aware of the issue. Honestly, that doesn't sound too good. For you, I mean, in fact. That move has Oh, yeah, he refers to himself. I was like, did I read it as the wrong person? That move has Yuhiko Ikari's very own not recommended seal. And why is that? So sometimes when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I like to treat myself to one of my Casanova smiles, you know. one of these. Okay. And then I'm sorry, it's like that Casanova smile hits so hard. Ah, oh, if they when the second one finally comes out, I hope Koma Mecker makes a comeback somehow. We get to see Yahiko in a wig. And then I'm struck by how handsome I am. It's like the mirror knows and tries to make me look twice as good as usual. One time I even passed out from the shock. The house was in an uproar. And you're telling me this because right now you're me and Limnisgate is the mirror. So maybe you shouldn't smile too beautifully. That is actually a brilliant threat. Basically, if you hurt us, you hurt you. I raise an eyebrow. The threat behind the grin is clear. If we hit them, they'll retaliate with twice the force. You don't really think revealing anything about way forward would work to your benefit, do you? You know how public sentiment is. It would look petty to attack a health organization. I'm not sure what his plan is. If Limnisgate made a public accusation against Way Forward, the public perception would be terrible. Even if they do have the media under their thumb, they're hardly in place to be throwing stones. Technology is nice and all, but saving lives is better. We've worked hard for our public image, and this is a time when it'll come in handy. Yeah, it makes sense, it just felt weird. Still, his deep blue eyes maintain their even gaze. You're right. There's really nothing to gain by attacking Way Forward. But for someone talking about secrets, I've heard you have an awful lot of them. Suddenly, my stomach flutters. That biting line has the air of a well-prepared counter-argument. But what could Limnisgate know? True, there are plenty of details about my past, hell, even a few about my present that could put a dent in my reputation. But I've been careful. My mother had been careful. By the way, did you hear? Hear about what? About my favorite minion, of course. He's being released today. Yama. Yama? Today? No. I need to get my brain back to business. Now isn't the time for this. I quickly returned my face to a more neutral expression. Slightly surprised, slightly worried. But Yahiko didn't miss the initial impact of his words. Oh, after only 3 years? That's a bit shocking, but given the changes to the Justice Department, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Let's see just how confident he is about wherever he's going with this. That's a bit cold. He was my minion, remember? Our friend. And so was Rui. Rui! That was her name. Why did I think Hinata? Hinata Hayashi would be a mouthful. Right? I'm sorry that was a terrible day for all of us. But especially for you, right? I mean, I can't even imagine it. You must had it worse than anybody else since you were the last person to see him and all. I could feel the blood drain from my face. How could he know that? For 3 years, no one had mentioned that meeting by the river. I had assumed that anyone who had seen us hadn't recognized us, so why? Why now? Why him? Because Yahiko knows everything. It would be pretty bad if the media learned about that. There were a bunch of crazy theories that got started back then. With all that, they might even start to believe that, oh yeah, sorry Yahiko, there were a bunch of crazy theories that got started back then. With all that, they might even start to believe that you were involved in what happened. Damn, Yahiko, cold. But then again, if they could hear a recording of your conversation, they know everything was okay. Unless you said anything weird to him, that'd be bad. You didn't do that, right? That's why I love you. I love you, Yama. But not in that way. I feel a flood of emotions rising within me. I gripped the edge of the table, warding off the tears. Control. Maintain the mask. Everything is fine. Right. He said he was moving back to Seto. So he knows the attack, but not the full story. That's good. At least he's just a messenger. So, we were just saying our farewells. I guess that sort of worked out then, didn't it? I knew you weren't the type to say things you shouldn't. He looks almost apologetic, as if he realized his planned riposte has become more of a coup de grace. I appreciate the vote of confidence. It's been a pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Ikari. He perks back up, realizing he's navigated the meeting successfully, and downs the last of his lemonade. Oh, well, look at Mr. Yahiko Ikari being all business boss man. We'll see her further reaction to Yama getting out in the next episode. And tatocat, have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.